Good evening, hockey fans, and welcome to episode
Hello!
number 25 of Pod Snipe Celly. We've hit the quarter century mark.
Whoa.
25 episodes deep, the final episode of the regular season. My name is Dan Bradley. Alongside me tonight, Joel Fernino. Joel, how are you feeling about the end of the regular season?
Well, it's always sad to see the regular season end, but we'll talk about this later. But man, it should have ended already.
It has taken a long time to get to the finish line, and I feel like we've had more hockey in the last month just because of we had the COVID pause, we had the Olympic break, and then we just crammed everything together into the last month of the season.
You mean the Olympic break that didn't happen?
Yeah, the Olympic break that didn't happen, which, I understand they had to build it in, but it just sucked that they couldn't really do anything about it, and kind of made it up, but kind of didn't, and then decided, we're just going to backlog everything the final month of the season and go from there and hope for the best. So,
yeah, but it's always sad when the regular season ends, especially when your team's not making the playoffs. So tonight is our finale. So
I couldn't relate. I'm sorry.
Hey, for once.
for once, where have you been? Where have you been over the last few years? The Wild have been making the playoffs. They haven't gotten out of the first round, but they've been making the playoffs.
You beat me to my comment.
Yeah. Well, we are going to get right into things here. And as always, we are a live show. We are on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, and on Facebook right now. So if you have something that you want to share with us throughout the show, let us know where you're tuning in from, have a take that you want to share, and by all means, have some predictions, because we are going to talk about the upcoming NHL playoffs. They're set to start next week. The final day of the regular season is today, minus one straggler game on Sunday that doesn't have any bearing on actual playoff matchup.
The best playoff season of all the major sports.
Absolutely, without a doubt. So we are going to dive right into the NHL playoff chaos that is incoming. And Joel, I want to pick your brain here because we pushed the show back. Normally we're Tuesday nights, 7:00 p.m. Eastern, 6:00 Central. And we decided on Tuesday of this week that we didn't know what the playoff matchups were. In fact, we decided this before Tuesday. We said the only playoff matchup that's locked in right now, this being Monday, was the Minnesota Wild and the St. Louis Blues, and we didn't know who was going to have home ice.
Excuse me,
but we knew that was going to be the matchup.
You said the word St. Louis Blues, and it made me want to throw up. Continue.
St. Louis Blues.
Don't.
There we go. Hey, how about that?
My mom chiming in.
There it is.
Hi, Mom. Love you.
Don't
worry. I try not to swear while I'm on the show.
She's incredible.
That's a damn lie.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing her. She got a wedding invite. I hope she has it by now. So we mailed it out, I think, a week ago. Roughly, we sent out save the date. So yeah, back to the show.
Wow.
Playoffs. You want to talk about playoffs?
Playoffs?
I just hope we can win a game. David Drum's chiming in. We got all sorts of family connections on the show tonight.
That's me on the Blackhawks this season.
Yeah, no kidding.
So we can win a game.
So we have a scenario where the Eastern Conference is chaos because in both the Atlantic and the Metro Division, third and fourth place are separated by 1 point. Mm-hmm. And in the Western Conference, Wild Card 1 and Wild Card 2 are separated by 1 point. So we can't lock in any of the matchups. Joel, I want to start tonight with the Eastern Conference, specifically the Atlantic Division, where Boston can move into third with a win over Toronto, who sounds like is resting some players tonight. No Jack Campbell, no Austin Matthews in the lineup. So Boston in a decent position to win, move over Toronto, and then would play Toronto if they move up to third. Otherwise, they would, with a Tampa Bay win, or if the Bruins lose tonight, they would play Carolina as the wild card team. Joel, how do you see that one shaking out?
So Boston can win and move into oh man, and they're playing Toronto. Dude, we always know how those Boston Toronto playoff series. It's it's like a mini playoff series if it's it's at least going to move them into third. I could see Boston just getting ready and coming to play because Toronto, while they're starting to look not like their usual bounced in the first round self, which I think I have a hot take on that. But before we get to that, I see I honestly I don't even have to think about it. I see Boston taking it. I think Boston can get the win. They're going to come ready to pretty much beat the shit out of Toronto because they love doing it, especially when the word playoffs are involved in a game between Boston and Toronto.
Yeah, and I think the Tampa Bay and New York Islanders situation, I mean, Tampa should win that game, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to. Tampa, they lost their last time out, but the Islanders on a 2-game winning streak, but 4-5-1 over their last 10. It's a game that they really should win, but that doesn't mean they're going to. We've seen some really weird outings from Tampa Bay this year. They'll blow teams out of the water, and then the next night they'll lose a 5-2 clunker. I really don't know what to make of this Tampa Bay team right now. I mean, it's not anywhere near the level of dominance that we're used to seeing from Tampa Bay, and as the 2-time defending champion, wherever they end up, it's going to be a good series. But I think they hang on. I think we end up seeing Tampa Bay, Toronto in the first round of the playoffs. I think we end up seeing Boston, Carolina. But I think Boston is absolutely going to run Toronto out of the building tonight. I think with the kind of energy, and Toronto is down a couple of guys. That probably makes it easier for Boston to run through. But, Boston Bruins, that's a team that this time of year you don't want to play. They're riding a 4-game win streak right now, 6-4-0 over their last 10. It's a scary looking Boston team. And if they can get their goaltending situation figured out, do you start Ullmark? Do you start Swayman? It's probably going to be Swayman. Wouldn't be surprised to see that at all. But either of those two capable of carrying the team in the playoffs, but neither one has a whole lot of playoff experience there either.
Here's a question I have for you, at least in this scenario. Of these teams that are, they have the high ground, so to speak, right? Tampa's taking second.
Third.
So that's what?
Tampa's in third right now. Maple Leafs are 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mixed up. Dyslexia. Yeah. Toronto. Yeah, sorry. So Tampa, man, it's like, who do you think sits, right? Like who of the, like, are they going to, these teams, like, is anyone going to like try and, because they know they're going to the playoffs, are they going to rest anybody? Do they care that much about the seeding?
I mean, I think it kind of depends on where are you locked in. If I'm Boston, I probably want to avoid playing the Florida Panthers in the first round. And granted, they're safe on that one, but would you rather play Carolina or would you rather play Toronto? Would you rather play a team that Freddie Anderson has been hurt, and we're going to touch on that in a minute. Jack Campbell has been hurt for Toronto. We'll touch on that in a minute as well. But looking at the offensive capabilities of those teams, you're in trouble. What it comes down to me for is defense. And for that reason, I'd rather play Toronto than Carolina in the first round. I think Carolina's defense is better. That's a tougher scenario for you to score. And between those two, that's who I'd rather play. I'd rather play Toronto.
I couldn't agree more, solely too for the fact, like, look at Toronto's history. And I'm sorry, like, you can, I'm always big on, you can't look at the past. You can't look at even the regular season. You can't look at a team's past. You have to take them seriously. But man, I mean, until Toronto proves me wrong, I will probably always look at them like that. I don't care how good they are, how heavy scoring they are, how of an offensive juggernaut they've been. When it comes to the playoffs, whether it's all new players or there's still some players that have dealt with their first round woes around, like, it's Toronto, man. It's almost like a curse at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't won a playoff series since before the 2005 lockout. I mean, it's been a long time coming.
Remember when Toronto gave up a 4-1 lead in Game 7 in 2013? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
That was. I think this is the year that we see Toronto advance out of the first round, regardless of who they play.
You beat me to my hot take.
Just chaos. Yeah, well, I mean, and we'll get into that too, because we'll get into playoff picks here. You and I will share our thoughts on Tuesday once we actually know what the brackets look like. And yes, we'll have a couple of days into those matchups so far, but we'll have a full. We'll list our playoff brackets on the Twitter page before the playoffs start. So we'll put the bracket up there.
They start Monday. We have a show Tuesday. It'll only be one day.
So we'll have a couple of games underway, and maybe something happens that changes things there. Maybe not, but we'll kind of have to wait and see. The other Eastern Conference game, the Washington Capitals can move into third place in the Metro with a win over the Rangers, who they're resting players tonight because they've got their spot locked in. And a Pittsburgh loss to Columbus. Pittsburgh without goaltender Tristan Jarry, leaning on Casey DeSmith for that one. We know that Columbus and Pittsburgh have history. They don't like each other. Geographically close rivals as well. Columbus going to bring their A game tonight. Pittsburgh going to win with a backup goaltender. Will the Capitals slide up into third, or are they going to stay at the 4 spot here?
I feel like the Capitals know when to step up when the heat is on their backs against the wall like this. So I don't know, man. I could see them taking it over the Rangers, even though I'm still on the Rangers bandwagon that they can make a deep run. But
well, here's the weird part out of all of this. Pittsburgh on a 2-game losing streak heading into the final game. Rangers and Capitals on 3-game losing streaks heading into the final game. So these are teams that we're used to seeing really carry the load into the postseason, and the Rangers less so recently, but even still, I mean, that's a good Rangers team put together here, and losing 3 straight, kind of backpedaling their way into the playoffs here. Anything can still happen in this one.
It makes you think they're letting their foot off the gas a little bit and saying, like, look, let's not. We were great this year, didn't hold first, gonna solidly take second, but like, let's maybe make sure we don't go too hard on the last game of the regular season when we're already in anyway. Who cares? No one get hurt. No one take too many crazy chances. So I don't know, man. Maybe that's why they're kind of
not taking crazy chances. We need to go back to Boston for a moment because I just looked at the injury report. Here's who is not playing tonight for Boston.
See, this is why I brought up the question.
Dries Bergeron, Brad Marchand, Eric Holla, David Pastrnak, Taylor Hall, Matt Grzelcyk, Charlie McAvoy. Those guys are all sitting tonight.
I told you.
I think, okay, now that I have seen that,
same. I'm switching. There's no way.
Changer. Yeah.
But who's sitting for Toronto?
Sitting for Toronto. Give me just a moment.
I would assume Matthews, Marner,
Tavares, Campbell, Marner, Matthews, Bunting, Woll.
Okay, so it's AHL Boston versus AHL Toronto.
To a degree, yeah. So maybe I see Toronto winning that one, and it's a moot point.
I still see Boston winning. I don't know.
Tampa Bay doesn't appear to be resting anybody tonight, according to this. So there is that. And I think they're in the more pressure situation here too, because if they lose, they're in trouble. But they still have to win to lock up that 3 seed. Boston knows even if they win, it's not totally up to them. So, and I guess they can kind of ease up a little bit more. There's a little more pressure on Tampa Bay to deliver against the Islanders.
And remind me, this is matchup style. Who does Boston play if they stay? If things stay where they're at right now, Boston will play.
Carolina. Boston would play Carolina.
Carolina, right?
Yep.
Have fun with that.
Yeah. Well, and we already saw them play in the playoffs. I think what was it 2 years ago? That was like in the bubble. That was the first round series where they got it down to 8 teams.
Was it like the actual first round? It wasn't
the actual first round, not the first round. And Boston.
Hey, we won that round. Don't air quote it.
If the Wild lost it, I'm gonna air quote it.
Nope. we destroyed Edmonton fair and square.
You got well rested and got a bad goaltender in net for Edmonton for that series.
Don't care.
Anyway, back to the Metro here. Looking at these injury reports as well.
Yeah, let's hear those.
Pittsburgh is Jason Zucker still out, Tristan Jarry out, but that's it there.
Okay, so they're full go. Okay.
Yeah, they're pretty much full go minus Jarry and Zucker. As for the Caps, Ovi still banged up. He's going to sit. Backstrom is going to sit. Yeah. But Carl Hagelin might be back for the playoffs after needing surgery for an eye injury. So hopefully he's back and ready to go here
I
soon.
would never like that.
No, never, ever.
Get it?
That was terrible.
Anyway.
It took me a minute. That was terrible.
You're usually
normally I am. Yeah, I'm the one who usually makes the cheesy puns here. I
gotta dethrone you. I'm trying to. Well, okay. I think in this scenario, at least, I'm pretty sure everyone's just fighting to not be the team to play the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina is good as their division champion. The Panthers are a wagon right now, 8-2 heading into the playoffs, a league best plus 102 goal differential. A league best 338 goals for.
That coins the question: do you or did you ever believe in the President's Trophy curse?
No, I don't really believe in it.
I agree. I was just curious what you'd say.
Yes, we have seen some teams in recent years. I mean, speaking of the Tampa Bay Lightning, 3 years before their puck or their Stanley Cup run, they won the President's Trophy and then got swept by Columbus in the first round because Tampa Bay was kind of banged up down the stretch.
That was a fun series.
That was an amazing series. So much fun to watch. So we've seen that as an example. Going back even a little bit further, the Washington Capitals winning the President's Trophy and then losing to Montreal.
They were the kings of dominating the regular season and never going deep.
Yeah, they were for a long time.
Yeah.
And even in recent years, I mean, I don't really believe in it as a curse. It's something like the team that wins the President's Trophy still wins a good chunk of the time too. So I'm not too worried about that.
Exactly.
And once again,
look at this
at the beginning of the and we had a comment in here too from David a little bit ago. Which Florida team do you see going furthest in the playoffs? I lean Tampa because of their experience, but I hope for the Panthers.
I'm going to disagree.
I think Tampa is looking at a first round exit, and I think the Panthers are going to be your Cup champions. I said it at the beginning of the year. I'm standing by it. That's spoiler alert for later in the show, but
that's going to be a first for you.
What?
calling a quote unquote dark horse team at the beginning of the year and then having them actually win the Cup.
I mean, yeah, usually I've kind of gone relative chalk, or if I take one, they get close, but then they kind of fade down the stretch. I feel really good about Florida this year.
How can you not? That team is one of the best teams I've personally ever seen, and I was a fan of a dynasty.
And they're getting
it's they're going to be very hard to beat. That I know. And to back to David's question too, I'm going to have to wholehearted. He usually backs me on stuff, but David, I'm sorry, I gotta completely disagree with you on that one. Tampa is not making it. I don't know about first round exit. I don't feel as confident just slamming the button down right now saying Tampa's out in the first round. I can see it, and I think it could happen, but I'm kind of 50-50 between first and second round for them. I think depending on who they end up playing, they could Toronto. They could beat Toronto if they win tonight. And Toronto, if Tampa and Toronto stay where they're at and those two play each other, I could see Tampa beating Toronto.
Maybe.
That's
if Vasilevsky gets hot, that's trouble.
Well, that's the typical example of high-powered defense versus high-powered offense, what's going to give?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, I'm going to need to see what the actual matchup is here, but I'm pretty sure what we're going to end up seeing is that the Capitals play the Panthers, Penguins play the Rangers,
oh, poor Caps.
Tampa Bay and Toronto, and then Boston, Carolina.
Those are a lot of very good series. Actually, if anything, the one I don't care that much for would be Boston, Carolina.
Well, and here's another amazing stat. This is the first time in NHL history that all 8 playoff teams in the same conference have reached over 100 points on the regular season. Like the Capitals at 100 points, like 3-4 years ago, that's a top seed. That, or at least no worse than second in the division. I mean, they at 100 points that you're fourth in the division is unheard of. And we have 8 playoff teams in the Eastern Conference that are all over 100 points. You know, if you put Washington in the Pacific Division, they're a 3 seed, but as is now, they're wild card too.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely power. Like the top half of that conference is so stacked, and then it's such a steep drop off to the other teams in the East. Because after Boston, the 5th place team in the Atlantic Division is Buffalo at 73, and Boston is on 107. Then, if you want to drop down to the Metro, Washington is at 100, and the Islanders at 84.
84, sorry.
84. So, yeah. Speaking of the Western Conference, the Wild, they need 1 point against Colorado if they're going to clinch the 2nd place spot in the Central Division, get home ice in the first round. Colorado resting some players tonight. No Darcy Kemper.
They should be resting their entire damn team. They should have called up the entire AHL team.
In fact, give me a moment here to try and see if we've got updated lines here. McKinnon is playing. Rantanen is playing. Kadri is playing.
They are nuts.
But Cale Makar is out. Landeskog out. And
Landeskog out, but McKinnon in. I mean, unless that was just by choice, and they basically said, like, if you guys want to go. But we really,
I don't know.
We really don't want you to, but we'll leave it up to you, type of thing. Like, that's stupid on my part. And I'm not ever really big into the whole put wrap players in bubble wrap thing. Like, but come on, if you are primed and ready, if there's one team that can beat the Panthers, it's Colorado.
Well,
but they also have to.
I don't know if there's like maybe a score to settle or something like that for some of those guys. I'm Rantanen is at 91 points. He's not getting to 100 tonight, so that's not.
He might.
It's not like he's going to get out of here. If Rantanen puts up 9 points tonight, I will get a Rantanen tattoo. I am that serious.
Everyone heard
against
that.
Minnesota.
Everyone heard it here
if
first.
He puts up a 9-point game, yes, I will get a Rantanen tattoo if he puts up a 9-point game tonight.
Everyone heard it.
Yep. It's not happening. Okay. 0 chance.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and who else for Colorado is up there? McKinnon's on 88, so maybe he's trying to get to 90, which could happen. Certainly more likely than Rantanen getting to 100.
I'm actually very surprised McKinnon didn't end up hitting 100. I know he was injured for a little bit, but
still 88 points in 65 games. I mean, he's taking care of business still.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Blues hold the tiebreaker even if they finish even on points. Colorado resting guys. Minnesota getting Jared Spurgeon and Matt Dumba back in the lineup tonight. Those two have both been out for a while. Matt Zuccarello out of the lineup. Minnesota still kind of looking to lock up home ice. I would think maybe they go short shifts in the third if they need to and give some guys a little bit of extra rest there. But they're still full steam ahead because they've struggled against the Blues this year. Say what?
The Blues play tonight, right?
Yes, Blues play tonight. Blues.
Oh no, yeah. So yeah, Wild against Colorado. Who do the Blues play?
Give me a second. I'm trying to look that one.
I'll pull it up.
Okay, go for it.
I got you. So the Blues are playing Vegas. So Vegas is a very defeated team right now, so maybe they got a fire under their ass. Maybe they'll try and
I would
play
think
home
the
ice slow.
Blues, again, probably resting guys because the only thing that helps them is if Minnesota loses. So if they lose, it's no big deal, and if they win, it could be for nothing. Looking at their lines, it looks like they're still playing their usual squad tonight. So I guess they're still going for it. And the Blues do have the tiebreaker if they finish even on points. Right. So that's a factor too. Minnesota 2 points up right now, but the first tiebreaker is regulation and overtime wins, which presumably they'd both be on 47. Blues with 43 regulation wins, Minnesota with 36. Minnesota has had a flair for overtime in the shootout this year. So there is that that element to it as well.
Yeah, I mean, either way, that's going to be a fun series to watch. But
I would bet at least 4 games in that series go to overtime. It would not surprise me.
Please sweep them. Please sweep them.
As much as I would love to see that, I think it's more likely that Rantanen puts up 9 points tonight than that we have a sweep in that series.
No. Wrong, sir.
That series is not going to be a sweep.
9-point games, pretty much. Actually, they really don't ever happen anymore. It's way more plausible that you sweep the Blues.
I'm
not saying it's going to happen.
The way that the Wild have played against St. Louis this year, I would be absolutely stunned if the Wild were to sweep.
Let me be your guide to actually being a very good team in the playoffs. The regular season does not matter anymore.
Okay, you want to look at the last time they played in the playoffs too?
That you guys weren't a good team back then. You were a team that was barely able to scrape into the playoffs.
They were Central Division champs.
The Wild were?
Yeah.
When?
That was what, 17? No. 16? I was still living in Duluth. I know 17, that much.
17, the Central Division champs were us. Keep trying.
Okay, hang on.
All I'm saying is that regular season, when it comes to, and this is why the NHL playoffs are the best, the regular season pretty much, for the most part, I'll give you maybe 20% of it. But the rest of the 80%, it does not matter. Nothing matters on how it went, how the regular season went, matchups, whatever, performances. Everyone is a clean slate.
I take that back. So that was 16-17 was the year I was thinking of. Chicago did win that year. You were right. The Wild were 3 points back of Chicago.
Yeah.
The Wild that was when they were looking like they were going to be the division champs. And then they traded for Hansel and Ryan White, and down goes the turn, and the Hawks came roaring back. And
and then got swept by Nashville. Anyway, continue.
David, crazy prediction: Wild make a deep run because the league loves playoff overtime. Yeah, I could.
More playoff overtime means more money.
There is no team that has had more of a flair for the dramatic this year than the Minnesota Wild. All the multi-goal deficit comebacks to win in regulation, in overtime.
That's another reason why I'm saying you have the. I'm not saying you're going to. You don't have your hopes up, but I'm saying.
I do. I do have my hopes up.
I'm saying you don't have your hopes up for. You don't have your hopes up for a sweep. But I'm saying a sweep can happen simply because I've seen what you guys have done all season, and that's from afar, that every single time I saw that you were down by 2 goals, 3 goals, you powered back. Whether you ended up winning the game or not, you still powered back. So it always just takes that 1 to 2 minute in the period, whatever period, and it can switch, man. All I'm saying is give me St. Louis
in overtime.
Give me St. Louis fans tears in a beer cup. That's all I want.
Show me that the Wild can beat them once before I start to get my hopes up for a sweep.
That's fair.
They haven't beat them this year. They haven't beat them indoors. They haven't beat them outdoors for the Winter Classic. Blues have had.
What the hell do Winter Classics mean?
Yeah, I'm just saying the Blues have had the Wild's number all season. I have zero faith that the Wild will sweep that series.
Bring the Winter
now
Classics
that certainly could change. I would absolutely love it if it did, but I really, frankly, don't see it. And then we got to get into the last wild card spot here because this is also going to be a factor in our Wednesday night / Friday night pick segment coming up here.
Yep.
Dallas, with a win over Anaheim and a Nashville loss to Arizona, would move into wild card 1. That would mean that they would play Calgary instead of Colorado in the first round. Nashville,
6-1, half a dozen of the other there, man.
I mean, yes, big trouble either way. Colorado a little streaky lately, 5-4-1. They've kind of taken a tumble.
Again.
Calgary 7-1-2 down the stretch, and they've been a wagon most of the season too. Certainly, just roaring through the Western Conference. Joel, who do you see taking wild card 1 and wild card 2 here? Nashville without Saros, and then playing. I believe they are on the road tonight as well. I want to say that game is in Arizona. Whereas Dallas at home, game is in Arizona, and then Dallas is at home.
Yeah.
Do you see a scenario here where Dallas jumps Nashville on the final day of the regular season to move into that wild card 1 spot?
I said it. I think it was last week. It was either last show we had or 2 shows before.
It would have been last show where we talked heavily about Dallas.
All right.
Down the
So it was. I said it last show. I don't believe in Dallas. I still don't. However, if for no other reason other than the matchups, as well as the home and away matchups too, man, I could see Dallas hopping into that first spot just because they're playing Arizona. Now, for the bit, Arizona's probably looking to, it's not even play spoiler because, I mean, Dallas is screwed on their matchup either way.
See, you say Dallas that, but look at what Arizona has done this week. On Tuesday, beat Minnesota at Minnesota. Wednesday, beat Dallas at Dallas. So they have just beat 2 playoff teams in their past 2 days. Could go 3 for 3 to wrap up the regular season here. Where are they at on points? Seattle's at 58. Arizona's at 55, so they could still win and not lose out on their position in the draft standings. I don't know, man.
I'm with you.
You don't have to make your pick right now. You can save it for the Friday night pick segment. But just let that one marinate here for a little bit. In the meantime, though.
Yeah, I don't want to give anything away there.
We got some goaltending concerns here, and we've kind of touched on all of these throughout the show. Nashville without UC Saros, Tristan Jarry out for Pittsburgh, Frederik Andersen out for Carolina. Joel, which of those goaltending situations concerns you the most? Not necessarily you think that they're going to lose the series, but which of those do you think is the biggest concern?
Probably UC Saros all the way. I mean, Carolina without Freddie Andersen is huge, but Carolina's a wagon anyway. They can handle it. Pittsburgh without Tristan Jarry, I could make an argument for that, but at the same time, they have a hell of a lot of star power to potentially get them over the hump there. Nashville, other than Yossi, and maybe other than,
I mean, Philip Forsberg's having a good year.
That's
Matt Duchene is a 40-40 player.
Yeah, those were the 3. It's other than Yossi, other than Duchene, and other than Forsberg. I don't see a scenario where and Yossi's not going to be like, if it with Saros out, Yossi's going to have to amp up that defense. That offense isn't going to be as sparked, right? He's going to have to be more, he's always defensive minded, but he's still going to have to focus a little harder. I still think and Saros is just damn good too. Also, you got David Riddick running into ghost nets. If you saw that.
Yeah. God, I wish it was easier for us to import videos here and call them up on the screen.
Basically, what I'm describing is last night there was a shot and a puck that went up in the air, right?
Yeah, it was off the glass.
Yeah, it was off the glass, and it was up in the air, and Riddick turns around to look for it and just slams his sternum off the boat.
Clotheslined himself.
Literally. Like, he got speared by the net, and the best caption of that entire thing just, where the hell did that net come from?
Yeah,
Who
I
put
mean,
that net there?
he went down like he wasn't skating fast at all. Like he just turned around and there's a crossbar.
There's a
But
crossbar there,
he
man.
went down like he got shot. I mean, it was
Right. It's like, all right, he's embellishing. Give a 2-minute breather to the crossbar.
as we talked about last week, 2 minutes to the crossbar for interference and 2 minutes
And 2
for
minutes to
embellishment.
Riddick for embellishment. Dude acted like he got shot. Like, my God.
Yeah,
But
he dropped like a sack of potatoes.
so I don't know. And jokes aside, though, I still like, and of these 3 goalies listed to, Anderson's probably the best. But again, he's also in front of the best team. That's why even without Anderson, I'm not worried about Carolina.
I'm gonna go a
Yeah,
different direction
Saros.
here.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go a different direction here because I think even with Saros, Nashville is in trouble whether they're playing Colorado or
I
Calgary.
mean, that's what I'm
So
saying
whether
too.
whether
Like,
or not they have Saros, they're in trouble. For me, the one that concerns me the most might be Carolina without Anderson. Just looking at how good he has been. And I'm going to call up the numbers here. Maybe this will change my mind one more time here. Um, Looking at Carolina's goaltending numbers on the season, Freddie Anderson, 35, 14 and 3, 922, save percentage, 217, goals against, 4 shutouts. Antti Ranta backing up 15, 5 and 4, 912, save percentage, 245, goals against. Going to Pittsburgh. I think this is, yeah. Okay. So you know what? Maybe Casey DeSmith, 10, 6 and 5. So losing record there, 914 save percentage, better, 278 goals against. I mean, that's a scary situation too. I don't think any of these answers is a wrong answer. Like, I think it's
no,
a very
not by any
valid
means,
concern for
but
all of them. I kind of tripped myself up with my own question here. I think
that's what I'm
I
saying.
think I'm
Like,
gonna go
that's kind of
Pittsburgh
why.
without Jari.
Honestly, to me, that's kind of the thing. It's the toss up between Nashville and Pittsburgh because neither of them are good enough to make deep runs. Carolina is, yes, despite how good Anderson has been, they're such a
Yeah,
wagon. Like, they can,
you can still lean on Ranta because he's had the numbers to back it up.
and I can confirm, Rancia can be clutch when he wants to be.
Yeah, he's a good goaltender.
He's short, but he's fast.
My one concern, and this was the worst sports take that I've ever had, was I said I thought Carolina was going to miss the playoffs this year.
So did I.
Because
I was with you.
I didn't think that Tony DeAngelo was going to play as well as he was. I didn't think Anderson and Ranta were going to stay healthy all year, and Carolina would need to be leaning on their 3rd and 4th goaltenders, which at one point they did. They had to call up Jack LaFontaine from the University of Minnesota halfway through the season because goaltenders were hurt. But they were short-term injuries and not long-term, and Carolina has since recovered quite nicely.
You don't have to feel too bad because, I mean, I said they were going to miss. I would have chosen them to miss the playoffs too, just simply because of not a cup hangover, but just a winning hangover. They had played a lot of hockey. They had gone through the huge highs of, like, no one expected them to make the conference finals. No one expected them to be this good. They did it twice in a row too.
No, they didn't.
No, not making the conference finals. I mean, like, being that team that just was really good, and it's just like,
I was going to say, because the Islanders would have been a savvy pick there for the lot of games.
And I should have. Actually, we said they wouldn't make the playoffs, and we were right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but
no, like, Carolina makes conference finals, and then the next year they made it to the second round, I believe. Right? It was the first. No, it was the second round. But either way, I just thought, like, they weren't supposed to be good that first year. The next year we were like, oh, they're probably going to be pretty good. They only made it to, like, whatever it was, the second round. Then I was like, look, it's clearly falling off. That was why I said they weren't going to make the playoffs, and I was very wrong.
Well, yeah, I thought it was the organizational turnover, losing Dougie Hamilton and just the massive overhaul on the blue line, 2 goaltenders with injury histories.
Bringing in a horrible person like Tony DeAngelo.
Yeah. I mean, I really thought it was going to be just an absolute mess, and somehow Carolina has made the most of it and really, really thrived and done well.
Right.
So yeah, I think my answer to this one is going to be Pittsburgh without Jari, but any one of those, things can turn in an instant. Speaking of the scores and the predictions, and hang on, this didn't actually save, so I need to take that banner down for a moment and change my number here.
I want to do, and I'm glad you're doing this because I want to run through a quick 5-minute game with you after we do these picks before we get to roughing.
Okay, let's try this again. Here are the updated numbers with last week's results. I have gotten into trouble making some contradictory picks lately. I think part of my problem is I ask you what you want to do first, and then I feel like I have to take the opposite. But also, I have just run into
sounds
some
like
brutally
it. Sounds
bad
like a you
picks.
problem, Chief.
It is a me problem, and I don't, I don't deny that. It's me wanting to do something different for the show sometimes here, but at the end of the day, I need to make better picks, and that's what I plan to do tonight.
Hey,
so you can see the scoreboards there.
Yeah. Maybe just look at my scoreboard really quick. Just look
Yeah,
at my record.
yeah. Okay, go ahead, go off.
I'm relishing. Needless to say, I haven't made that much money off these, but
Well, for one last time this year, I'm going to make you choose if you're going to pick the Chicago Blackhawks. Do I even have to ask? Do I even have to read this like there's some big
hell no.
Chicago Blackhawks
absolutely
25 at the Buffalo Sabres -145. Joel,
we are rocking a 2-game win streak to close out the season and go golfing. Everyone is playing high. They're all feeling high right now. Obviously, there's some questions going into the offseason, but we'll have our own little off-season shows on that. Absolutely. And I also think this is Derek King. This should most likely be Derek King's last head coaching game, at least for the Blackhawks. So, absolutely.
Wait, you've turned on him? You don't want Derek King?
I'm not. I love the guy. I just don't know if he's a good long-term coach solution. But I don't know. Maybe. I'm not saying that the talent, there is talent there, and they have the biggest thing this year has been they just don't show up right away. That first period, except for maybe the last 10 or so games, it's just not there. They don't play a full 60 minutes, so there's something going on. I love Kinger, man. If they hired him, I wouldn't be mad. I just don't think they're going to. But oh yeah, absolutely. Give me the Hawks.
Blackhawks locked into the 6th worst record in the regular season this year.
Why'd you gotta throw that in there?
Just let me get to my point here, because with that comes decent odds of winning a draft lottery and moving up, which is what I think is going to happen. You're going to get the number 2 pick.
No, we're not.
You're going to keep that. Actually, no. You know what? Now that I think about it more, Hawks will stay where they're at. Hawks will pick 6th because next year's draft class is even deeper. So then when things are bad for Chicago next year, when they actually have their first round pick, that'll be when the Hawks win the lottery and move up. Get to take Connor Bedard.
Hey, we might
have your replacement for Taves for the next decade plus.
We might get your pick as long as you win 2 of your playoff series.
we've got to beat the Blues, who they haven't beat all year, and then we would have to beat Colorado, who won the West. It's not impossible, but
I'm just saying, man. Oh, also, there. Not only am I picking the Hawks, just for an extra betting preview for anyone who wants to do this, absolutely slam Patrick Kane, guaranteed at least 1 goal. He is in his hometown, and he plays well against his hometown team.
You give me a second here, because I want to look up just exactly how good his numbers are for his career against Buffalo. So give me a second here while I look that up.
He typically scores. How many? I got to remember how many games.
I got it.
Let me guess how many games it's been, though.
Okay.
Is it above 25?
No.
Oh, just above 20?
No.
Really? I mean, I know East versus West, but
he has played 19 career games against Buffalo.
So it's 20s tonight.
20 is tonight.
Okay.
11 goals, 14 assists. So 25 points in 19 games, better than a point per game pace against Buffalo throughout his career.
Slam.
At minimum, Kane for a point. Kane for a goal.
I'm saying Kane for a goal.
You know what? Let's just go to sportsbook that isn't sponsoring us, but they certainly could because we're welcoming of sportsbook sponsorships for
Absolutely.
playoffs for next season.
Playoffs?
You know, we're taking some interest there. Patrick Kane is plus 170 as an anytime goal scorer tonight. I don't hate those numbers.
I actually I might toss that on there. Actually, I might put a fiver on that.
There you go. So you're taking the Blackhawks.
Come on, come on, come on! You know,
I can't
you
believe
want
I'm saying
to.
this. Can't believe I'm going to do this.
Let's go.
But I'm going to take the Buffalo Sabres to
Oh,
win
you
this game.
come on,
You
man.
thought I was going to do it, but
Come on.
it's Buffalo. Like, I mean, Buffalo's not a good team either. Like, they're really not. And
We're also better than our record says.
Okay, you're at 67 points. Buffalo is at 73. So right now, yeah, Buffalo's the better team. Buffalo has a better record in their last 10 games. Buffalo's got a better goal differential this season. Like, tell me why I should pick Chicago to win this game. I'm taking Buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. One more. I'm going to make you pick Colorado Avalanche at Minnesota Wild. Avalanche plus 120 on the road with all the guys they're resting. Minnesota, no Zuccarello. I believe Cam Talbot is getting the start tonight. Give me a moment to confirm that. But Joel, while I am, who are you taking in that one?
I didn't want to give
correction, Fleury. Fleury confirmed is starting
tonight,
which makes me think Talbot is probably starting game one of the playoffs.
That's not a good decision.
I mean, it is if you've seen how Talbot and Fleury have been playing lately.
It's a wrong decision. Who's got better? Who's got better playoff experience?
Without a doubt, Fleury is the more playoff tested goaltender and has seen massive playoff success.
Goat.
I am not denying that at all. However, looking at recent performances where Talbot has played very, very well and Fleury has kind of stumbled down the stretch here, I think maybe you rock a 1A, 1B tandem, and
as long as he plays at least 4 games in the first two series, that's all I care about.
Yeah, that's the other thing is he's got to play X amount of games too. It's not just if the Wild make it to.
I know he's got to play 4 games or start 4 games, which I absolutely guarantee he will unless he gets hurt. But
I don't know, because if Talbot is the starter to start the playoffs and they, let's say they shut out the Blues in game 1, how do you give the net to Fleury for game 2?
You don't.
Exactly. So then it's harder to guarantee 4 games for Fleury in round 1.
And also, that doesn't necessarily mean Talbot would be starting in round 1 or game 1. Because you guys will play it starts Monday, right? Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Anywho, I am taking the Wild because I think that they are really feeling it more so than I think they've ever felt it, and they are going to slam that gas pedal down to the floor right into the playoffs and keep going.
We have the most Dean Evison quote ahead of this game.
Who?
Somebody asked him about the importance of getting home ice advantage in the first round. And he says, if we get it, really important. If we don't, it doesn't matter. That's the most on-brand Evison tweet. No Jordy Ben, no Alex Goligoski tonight. Dumba and Spurgeon are back. Zuccarello out, so Tyson Jost is getting a look on a line with Kaprizov and Hartman against his former team, too.
Is Bill playing? That's all you need to know. That's all I need to know.
He's in.
If you were going to tell me at the beginning of the season that Kirill Kaprizov was going to have 100 points and Nathan McKinnon was not.
If I had said that, I would have thought I was lying.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I didn't see Kaprizov putting up 100 points. My whole thing is I didn't see McKinnon not putting up 100 points.
I think both. I mean, Kaprizov, the first 100-point player in Minnesota Wild history. So he's got the goal record. He's got the points record. He just continues to get better and better every single game.
Time for a spicy Minnesota take from a Blackhawks fan. He is the best player in your franchise's history ever. And he's only in year 2.
Yeah. I'll agree with that. I
All
don't
right.
think that's a controversial statement at this point.
I figured you might not, but I don't know. There's probably some
And
people that might think it's spicy.
don't get me wrong. Love Mikko Koivu, forever our captain. Love some of the other great players who have come through, the Ryan Suiters, the Zach Parises, the Marian Gabricks, Pavel Demitra, Brian Ralston, Manny Fernandez. You can roll off a lot of good goaltenders in that stretch.
Mm-hmm.
But the best overall player, without a doubt, it's Kirill. And I don't think it's particularly close.
Mm-hmm.
At least not at this point.
So I'm assuming you're taking your team.
I do. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. While at home, the state of hockey, home of the home ice advantage.
South Canada.
A big blue line runs around our state. A line that can't be crossed. What do you mean? Absolutely, I'm going the Wild.
What do you mean a big blue line
runs? You don't know.
No, it runs. Excuse me. It runs
a narrow casting joke that you don't know. So
it runs across every state. Have you ever looked at a map? On that note, next pick.
Next game. Next game. Boo. Nashville Predators. We talked about them earlier. Plus 100.
Oh, this is tough.
At -1.5. One last time for this season. Coyotes for the bit. Are we going to do it?
Fuck yeah, we're going to do it. Coyotes for the bit.
Let's go. Coyotes for the bit. We're both on it. Coyotes plus 1.5. Against the Nashville team that playing without UC Saros tonight.
There's no being different on this pick. I mean, come on. There is no other option here.
It had to be done. Coyotes for the bit.
I teased it earlier, and you stopped me at a good time because I was almost going to give it away, and I'm like, no, not quite there yet.
You built it up. It was worth the wait.
I didn't know we were doing money line, or puck line, but
still. Puck line here. I feel like Coyotes most of this year. It's been when we've put them on the puck line, we've been fine. When we've taken them straight up, it's the loss.
I'm going to point it out, and I'm hoping pointing it out actually jinxes exactly what I'm pointing out. But every time we have picked the Coyotes for the bid, especially on the puck line, we've had our hesitations. This time we both were just like, hell yeah, let's do it. And that's going to be the one time that it doesn't happen.
I sure hope you're wrong on that.
Why do you think I said it?
We need to end the season with some wins here.
For the bit.
Especially because we're both taking Arizona. We're both taking Minnesota. The only one we're different on tonight is Chicago and Buffalo.
How many wins was I on? 46?
Yeah, you're on 46.
Damn it. I can't break 50.
Next season, buddy. And we'll have playoff predictor here too.
Yeah, but that's a separate record.
We'll have that into the mix. But it is time, one last time in the regular season, for 2 minutes for roughing.
It's like one last time. What do you mean? This keeps going regardless.
One last time in the regular season. I clarified here.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and get the old timer set up here. And Joel, are you ready to go?
Yeah, I am good to go. I'm not really that pissed off about anything much, but
you don't necessarily have to be, but we'll get into it in 3, 2, 1.
All right. So keeping with the theme here, everyone knows today is the last day of the NHL regular season. And pretty much I think everyone will agree with me, regardless of how much you love hockey. It should not have extended this far. We should not be sitting in the regular season on April 29th, 2022. This should have been over, I would say probably a week, maybe even a week and a half, 2 weeks ago at this point. Playoffs we should be well into the first round of the playoffs. Hell, we should probably have maybe one sweep or two by now. The way that the NHL and Gary Bettman have handled the schedules over the last few seasons, and I'm not just counting COVID seasons, I will cut some slack there. That was a really tough thing to deal with scheduling. We don't even count the COVID season. That shit's in the garbage. But the way that scheduling is handled is just ridiculous. And I think, especially this year, obviously, I again, for COVID, I understand giving a little bit of leeway. We had to have that. Basically, it was about 2 weeks of a pause because there was this giant outbreak. But obviously, some of the Canada stuff didn't help either. But not to mention the break for a week that we took for the Olympics that the NHL players didn't end up playing in. Nor did they know they were going to not play in it until about it was like 2 weeks before it started or 3 weeks before it started. So 2 breaks that were not needed. COVID break, there's an argument you could make for that. But again, I know that's why we're still going, but there's been other seasons where it's like this. The NHL regular season, they need to get better on scheduling, and we need playoff hockey to start way sooner into April, not at the beginning of May. And I think that's going to help the game too. You want to help grow the game. I'm not telling you to get rid of the 82 game season. You can't, but my God, people need to be fired and rehired for the scheduling.
Able to get that last word in right before the buzzer.
I still got it. It's been a little while since I've done a 2 minutes for roughing.
It has, because I had it last week, and then we delayed the show until Friday this week. Then before that, we had Colton Kaler filling in for you, and then
I did it.
Like 3 weeks at least since we've had you on for a 2 minutes for roughing.
I guess I can't complain. It's a good thing when you're not pissed about stuff to rant about. But that still did bug me, and I've gotten texts too. Like I think our buddy Jeremy texted me this morning. Was like, Joel, why the hell is the NHL regular season still going? And I'm like, dude, I'm with you, man. Like I didn't even add this into the rant. There's 15 games tonight.
Yeah.
15 games.
Yeah, I'm going to say something controversial here. I don't mind that. I don't mind that they're not going head to head with the NBA playoffs, like round by round, because normally that's kind of been the case. Is there's a pretty heavy overlap between the two. And in fact, usually it's the NHL who starts the first round first. So it's weird for basketball fans too that, hey, how is hockey still in the regular season?
That was the biggest thing.
I hope that this means that there will be more eyes on the Stanley Cup final when the NBA finals are done and all those basketball fans are looking for something to watch and they happen to turn on hockey and become a hockey fan. I would absolutely love for that to be the case. And this is finally a year where that might happen, especially if we get Florida and Colorado through to the Cup final. I mean, that is must watch hockey at its finest.
And I'm glad you said that. We have 2 minutes. I want to do a quick run through with you. It'll take 2 minutes. Just rattle it off. You ready?
Okay.
We didn't actually go through our picks, and technically these aren't our playoff picks.
Well, hang on, because don't we want to wait to do a more full show on Tuesday with our series?
That's actual series previews.
Yeah, but making the picks is the part of that.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I'm excited. See, this is how excited I am for the playoffs, man.
Something here.
This is how excited I am.
To look forward to.
All right, fine. I agree with you. You're right. But maybe the whole thing I just said was just all a ploy to get the teaser in there.
I mean,
wasn't it?
Everybody knows what my pick is for the Cup final this year. I've said it all year. I'm not changing my pick. Everybody knows mine, but they don't know yours. So
it's fair.
We're going to have to hold on that.
That's fine. That's fine.
An absolutely electric night of hockey coming up tonight. 15 games on the schedule. If you can't find a game that you want to watch tonight, what are you even doing? Unless you're watching the NFL draft, which I'm going to turn on here because the Vikings are the second pick of the second round.
When does that start?
Unless they trade down again, which I could do a whole other on.
At least you were in the first round, man.
I mean, you traded up for a quarterback. That's your business.
Trust me, I'd much rather have Justin Fields than who the Giants
exactly.
took.
So don't complain about not having the first round pick this year because you want Fields.
I had that little hope that maybe, just maybe, we did something to get Chris Olave back with Justin Fields, but it didn't happen.
You had no shot at moving up to get Olave. He went 11th. I did not have him going that high, and there was a big run of receivers.
What pick did we trade up to last year? Or 2 years ago now?
Okay, trading up to 11 for a quarterback makes sense. Trading up to 11 for a wide receiver, especially when you don't have a first-round pick.
That happens to be your quarterback's best friend.
I'm just saying. Bengals got their quarterback's best friend drafting at 5, and that's a rare scenario there.
What time does the draft start? 7?
Yeah, literally right now. They're going to turn it on in just a minute here. And
well, beautiful. Sign us out,
that's
Dan.
probably a good place for us to wrap it up tonight, and then we'll be watching hockey after our teams make our picks.
Patrick Kane,
Joel, with like 10 seconds left here, what position do the Bears need to draft with their first pick tonight?
Probably best available. We have so many holes, just best available, man. I would but if you want me to pick,
let me walk it back to what do you most want? Like, if the board falls in a perfect way for you to get the biggest need with the best player available, what is that position?
Wide receiver.
Yeah, I think so too.
Definitely. Or O-lineman.
Go ahead.
O-lineman or wide receiver, but I'm going to say wide receiver.
Yeah, probably wide receiver there. I'm hoping the Vikings go with Andrew Booth Jr., quarterback out of Clemson here at 34. But that is,
you got Cousins. Go ahead, sign us off now.
That is it for this week's episode. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow. You can find us on Twitter at PodSnipeCelly. You can find us on Facebook as well under the Sports 2.0 Network. Once again, a thank you to Noob Sports and the Sports 2.0 Network for letting us do this show throughout the regular season. 25 episodes in the books. We're going to carry it through to the playoffs. But thank you, as always, to Noob Sports and Sports 2.0 for giving us this platform to come to you guys every week. We've had an absolute blast with it this season. We've got big things coming for the playoffs, big things coming in the offseason, too. We'll be back with a playoff preview show on Tuesday. Normal time, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Joel, tell the people what time that is Central for me one last time.
6 o'clock Central Time.
There we go. That is it for tonight's show. He's Joel. I'm Dan.
Hello.
Enjoy the rest of your night, everybody.